So Malcolm, to let people know a little more about the geography of Australia and the kinds of challenges that you have with sweeping and sweepers and distance in the country, that's what you're going to show us, right?
Well, in terms of sweeping, there's a lot of Australia that you would never ever sweep. Australia has about 24 million people, 70% of whom live along this coastal strip, Brisbane, Newcastle, Sydney and round to Melbourne. That area has got 70% of the population. So they're really the only towns, cities of any size that would sweep much. There are some regional centres, but out here, zero.
Nothing up in the middle.
Well,
Yeah.
not many streets have got curbs.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about Australia is the topography. The Great Dividing Range, which is a mountain range that runs all the way down there, that spine, quite close to the coast in parts. Where you and I were was in here, and if you remember, we drove a short distance, and there we were in the mountains.
That's where you live, is
Where I live.
there by the Gold Coast.
And there's Tweed Heads where the Tweed River comes in, you saw that?
Mm-hmm.
It's a short river. There are lots of coastal rivers, short and very big. Now from that part this way, all that water drains and comes out here.
Comes down, wow.
Comes down in all this river system into the Darling River. I'll find it, there's the Darling River system, which comes down and near Mildura at a place called Wentworth, it meets up with the Murray River that drains all that part. There's Murray River, drains all of that part. So if I stand up here and take a leak, it'll end up 4,000 kilometres away down there.
My goodness.
It can rain up here, it can rain up there, and by the time that water gets down in a lot of this river system, someone could be here in complete drought, no rain, and get flooded as the water comes down. Now over here we have Lake Eyre, which is a huge inland lake, quite shallow, and can be without water for years, 10 years without water. Heavy rain up here, it all comes down and Lake Eyre can be full. It's full now. And once it fills, the fish come, the birds, they come from
How
miles
do the
away.
fish get back? They
Well,
come
I
down
don't
the
know.
river somehow.
I have no idea. And the rest of the water in here drains into the desert. Up the top, along this coastal, which is tremendous rain, and that all, of course, goes to the sea that way.
So are there mountain ranges at
Not
the
much.
top part? Just
Not much.
enough to flow to the sea.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're big rivers. They are monsters in the wet season. Huge.
And
3
many,
miles, 3
many
miles
people
across.
up in here?
Not
Where would
many.
people be?
Not many. Well, Darwin's a city substantial, and Derby, and here along this side, Port Hedland is a huge mining in there of iron ore. And Port Hedland's a major port. Broome.
And will they sweep the ports, or is it so
Yes,
remote
they
that
sweep the
don't-
port. There's a sweeper at Broome. I think Rosnick have a sweeper at Broome, Port Hedland. Yeah, they'd sweep there. These are quite big. Yes.
Now, I saw the other day a map of Australia superimposed over one of Europe, and essentially it's,
Went from London to Turkey.
it did. It's an enormous country.
This is all of this is about 92% of the area of the United States. 92% of the area of the US, excluding Alaska, and only 24 million people. As I say, 70% of them are there.
So one of the challenges with sweeping is that if you wanted to expand your company, and let's say you were located in Melbourne, as an example, then you can sweep the outskirts of Melbourne, no problem. But then if you really wanted to expand, let's say, into Adelaide, now you're talking about how far is that about?
1,000 kilometres.
Yeah. So it might look like those cities are next door to each other, but they're not. You'd have to establish
It's a 10-hour drive.
yeah, a major office of some kind there and so forth.
From Perth to Sydney, 4,500 kilometres.
That's amazing. So, for example, Rosmec has, EnviroSweep, which is a
Based here.
Rosmec company, is based here in Adelaide, where we happen to be right now. And
They
then,
have a branch in Melbourne, branch in Sydney, a branch in Brisbane, and one in Perth.
a very long ways away. Well, thank you very much for the geography lesson, and it really,
I want you to pay attention, Ranger. There will be a written examination at the end of the week.
and I'm concerned that you have a ruler in your hand for what happens to me if I don't pay attention. Geography was never one of my strong suits, especially the other side of the world.